Calvin Castine here. Not sure if we're going to add this to part of the Moira Heritage Day celebration or if it'll stand on its own. We're coming back from the Moira Heritage Day celebration. And I'd intended to stop here in beautiful downtown Burke, actually just a little bit outside of beautiful downtown Burke, to check and see how much progress had been made here at the Almanzo Wilder farm. But we stopped and had lunch at that pink hamburger stand, whatever it's called, just on the east side of Malone. And we ran into Clyde Rabideau Jr. And he said he was on his way here, taking a roundabout way, obviously, because they have some reenactors here today on this 26th, and also they'll be back on the 27th day of July. These gentlemen here allowed us to come in. Reenactors here to reenact part of the Civil War era. We saw Abe Lincoln wandering by as we parked our vehicle. There are a lot of folks here in period costumes. And we're going to wander around. My intent to stopping here today was to see if there had been enough changes in this facility in the last 5 years to warrant another episode of Our Little Corner here at the Wilder Estate. Gordy Little and I were here in the summer of 1997. Bud Tattershaw gave us a nice tour. And normally a $5 donation will get you into this area and get a complete run of the grounds. Uh-oh, this fella says, what is that guy doing with the camera? Well, he started first. He pointed at me first, so I'm going to point the camera at him. Looks like our very fine Union troops are preparing for battle. There's the Confederate Army. They are camped on the southeast side. And the smart ones are in the shade. That's where I should be.
All of these people were joined together in this ultimate idea against slavery. Now, some of them would not be opposed to the war, but quite a few of them were very war. The battle hadn't started yet, but doing skirmish, that's my idea. So he said that war is perhaps one of the most evil things that have been created. Because think about it. That's the root of it all. This material power. This material want. Even the great crusades were caused by material want. Because the control.
Those of you unfamiliar with who we are talking about when we mentioned the name Almanzo Wilder, he grew up here in Burke and headed west, where he hitched up with Laura Ingalls, the Little House on the Prairie and the Little House books. And he married her, and she became Laura Ingalls Wilder. And of course, that is well documented in the Little House on the Prairie TV show. This was part of the plans right here. This barnyard, a horseshoe-shaped barnyard that's described in Laura Ingalls' book, Farmer Boy. They have tried to be as true as possible, looking for old foundations as much as possible to rebuild the barns as it would have been in Almanzo Wilder's youth. And of course, there's a few items that don't quite fit the period, but you got to keep the lawn mowed. What Laura Ingalls mentioned is Almanzo training his oxen calves here in the Horseshoe Barnyard. And this is what we're looking at right here, rebuilt by the committee that runs this museum. Okay, we are inside the barn. This would be a hay barn, I would guess, because of the mouths. And who are we talking to, first of all, here?
Stuart Child.
Stuart Child. And Stuart, you're on the committee. What's the official name of the committee that runs this Wilder estate?
Well, it's the Almanzo Wilder organization. It's a non-profit organization that found and bought property and developed the thing with donations and some help from the state.
Okay, you've got the donation board right here, $100 donors.
Yeah. There have been quite a few. We've been very fortunate in having donations of both cash and, as you can see, all kinds of relics from all over.
And the whipple poles and so on, huh?
Right.
Wagon wheels. So I assume you're continuing to take donations. If you've got a lot of
definitely.
whipple trees back there, but if you got more, you don't care. You get more, right?
Oh, we have the ice house and the hen house yet to finish, and there's always maintenance and that sort of thing. So donations are very welcome, of course.
All right, you said it was a little tricky to build this because you wanted to be true to the original construction. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the barns burned in '70, and so when we came here, there was quite a pile of rubbish around. We had a archaeological class from Potsdam that came over and made digs all over the place and located the original foundation lines, and so everything is put up to scale. I mean, exactly where and the same size as it was in Almanzo's time. So what we have restored is essentially exactly the same as it would have been in Almanzo's time.
And the construction method, you said using as few nails as possible?
We used the original type of construction to put the building up. The material, the logs were cut from a neighboring woodlot and brought down to the lot and were sawed into beams and boards with a portable sawmill. And we had an expert carpenter who is familiar with the type of this beam and post construction to put it together, and it's quite an art because everything has to fit without having nails or anything except a few wooden pegs on the big beams to hold things together. So everything has to be put together on the ground and then tipped up. Because you couldn't do it by putting up one piece at a time.
You had to build it flat on the ground and then raise it like you would have a barn raising back many years ago.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was kind of a lengthy progress. I think one of these barns was up here in '97 when last time we took a hometown cable tour here. But you've made the complete horseshoe loop now, and it's ongoing, is it? Are you still trying to?
Yes, we there's maintenance, of course, but as I said, we have the ice house and the chicken house to complete yet, and there have been thoughts about the possibility of bringing animals here, but that's a big problem. We don't know for sure whether that will be feasible or not. Perhaps the flies and the smell and that sort of thing is a choice we'd have to have over public.
Well, and you got what you can do with them all winter long too.
Yes, you'd have to have someone here. So at the present time, it's clean.
So the people haven't got to worry about where they're stepping at the moment.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, is it mainly volunteer help that did the work?
Except for Mr. Brand, who was the master carpenter. He had help. We gave him volunteer help whenever he needed it. Back labor.
Yeah. Well, even the house took a lot of you. I remember coming here in the '80s, and you were doing the house,
Right from the foundation.
Foundation, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, tearing out the barn, putting in a new foundation.
New foundation. It all had to have new siding and roofs, and a lot of the windows are new. But the remarkable thing about the house is that over the years, that house had never been renovated and remodeled and changed. About the only thing that we had to do was to restore the front door on the west side of the house. And when we took the paper and off the wall, the doorway was evident.
Already there, right?
And so all we had to do was replace that. That was the only major outside change that we made.
And for those people wondering, according to the story written by Laura Ingalls, the house was red, right?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. The paint in those days was primarily red. Red ochre was a material that they could find in nature, and that was what they made their paint from. And practically, they didn't have much choice of color.
It's kind of like the Model Ts. You get black or black, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Now we're here on a weekend where you're having reenactors. Does this happen just once a year, or how often does this happen?
Not every year. We had one other program with the reactors. They move around and they go to different places. They really enjoy coming here, though, because the facilities are excellent for the particular program that they put on. So we'll probably have them back.
But not necessarily
future,
next year.
But not next year, probably. No, it isn't an annual thing. It's when they're available, and if we don't like to have the thing too tight, too close together.
Yeah. And it seems like they were here more toward the fall last time. Is that?
I think that's true. Yes.
Okay. Now, what's your? Imagine you're closed all winter, but so when does your season start and end, and when are you open during the day and so on?
So we're open until Labor Day. Every day from 11 until 4. Mondays, we're closed Mondays. Sundays, the hours are from 1 to 4. There are tour guides that we have to take people through the whole establishment here. And
When do you open in the spring?
in the spring we open, well, we open quite early because the schools send their children, all the classes here. They come by the busload. And that happens also in the fall, after Labor Day, when we are officially closed. We open in the spring on, what is the usual time?
Probably around Memorial Day.
Right around Memorial Day. Yeah.
And after Labor Day, you open on weekends at all? Or are you just for the school kids? By appointment.
By appointment or with the school.
Okay, and if
Right.
somebody with 3-4 kids that want to come here, what's it going to cost them during the summer?
During the summer, the tour cost is $5 per for adults and $3 for children.
That thunder's really loud, huh?
Yes, that was the big cannon.
Trying to scare them rebels away.
Right. Yes.
And but if you just want to come and visit the gift shop and something, there's no charge to park.
That's correct. There's no parking charge.
And if you wander around on your own, and you will take donations, but if you want the tour, it's $5 adult and so on.
Right.
So if you just want to wander around, you'll gladly accept donations. Is that kind of the gist
That's
of it?
correct. Yes.
So you don't force people to take the tour?
No.
No.
No. There's the grounds are open.
Mhm.
It's we don't like to open the house to anyone just to
wander through,
unless
yeah.
it's on a tour. But the rest of the area is usually open.
Yeah, you could have, you could lose a few items if people just wandered through there, either by breakage or pilfering.
There are some valuable pieces in there that we have to protect, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
The barns are pretty open.
So you can get a feel here of what's going on if you don't really want to. In the period of time that we're talking, what would you say? 18 what? For the house?
1860s.
Right during the Civil War era.
Yeah. 18 from 1830 to the 60s is when the Wilders were here.
Now, have you read all the Laura Ingalls books?
No, I haven't read all of them, but I've read some, a good share of them, so that I know pretty much what the sequence of events are around here.
And I hope you've read Farmer Boy at least once.
Oh, I've read Farmer Boy a couple of times. Yes.
Okay, we're going to wander around and maybe take a shot of the battle that'll be going on shortly.
I think probably it's about to start.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay.
We're outside and back of the barn now, and we've got a volunteer going to pump some water for us here. There we go. Doesn't look like she's pumped a lot of water in her days. Got the spouse Judith over there helping her. Series of troughs leading down. Just a trickle here. It's the trickle down effect, I think. Looks like we got some extra help coming now. And it got through here into the fenced-in area, to the barnyard. And at this point, they had the water trough. And that's how you'd water your stock back here when it wasn't freezing out. I am certain a berry patch was a part of the Wilder family. I have some nice strawberries here. Can't believe they're still there. Must be they've told people not to touch them because they look awfully inviting. Some nice big red raspberries. I think I said strawberries. Those are raspberries. A nice little maple grove here. I don't know if the Wilders were into maple sugaring, but there is a nice little maple grove, and maybe 20 years from now they'll be doing some maple sugaring here at the Wilder Estates. Union Army has their own little MASH unit here. I'm certain it was not a MASH unit at that time. Field dressing station. This is where they'd cut your limbs off, probably. This must be a very important battle going on. The president has arrived. As we mentioned earlier, we saw him as we were parking our vehicle. President Lincoln is here on site to oversee the battle. So this might be quite an important, very important battle in the history. Of course, no battles are actually fought in Burke. In addition to those raspberries, there's also a nice little blueberry patch here. What we've been told, the Confederate Army is going to start shooting in a few minutes, and the Union will return fire. We just heard an opening volley. Not sure if the big cannon will be active too, or just a smaller one. There we go. That's some young people lighting that touch hole. Well, they look awfully young to be playing around that gunpowder. Now the Union is manning their cannon.
Hey, Dan.
Get the ammunition here. And there's the cannon.
Just beyond that small maple tree. We sometimes get debris from the far end of the field piece.
We're at the Almanzo Wilder farm. July 27th, 2002. And we're about to see a brief little battle between, and we're not going to see much of it. I was unaware of this reenactment going on today, so didn't really schedule the time to be here. Let's see if this is going to, I got a long wick on that one, long fuse. Yeah, pull it. Now, how would you like to have something like that aimed in your direction?
Is that it?
That howitzer, really, I can imagine what that does to your ears. I hope they got some kind of ear protection on. Apparently they pulled the string to set off that howitzer. Let's see if the Confederates will answer. Looks like they're going to take turns. A very polite war going on. naturally, these guys wouldn't be sitting around waiting for the enemy to return fire. They'd be feverishly working to set off their next load. There we go. The rebels are out shooting the Union here. Union has a little trouble getting their cannon going. Here we go. I think they're set now. I'm wondering if as I'm taping this, whether that sound is really going to come across, even because when a blast. Listen here.
Okay, ready? Fire!
I have found from past experience that with a loud noise like that in the proximity of the microphone, it sometimes shuts the microphone down, and so much so to the extent that you don't even hear the loud blast that forces it to shut down, and then it'll shut down for a second or two after. So I'm not sure, as I'm taping this, exactly what effect you're getting on your TV screen, because I don't know what's coming through. But if that noise is coming through, then you get a feel for how loud it really is. And if they're ready to shoot another one, we'll probably stick around for one more blast, then we'll get a little bit of the skirmish in the field, and then we're going to call it a day here at the Wilder farm. Again, we didn't really allow for the time to tape this. We hadn't planned on this. Found out about it on our way over to here, that this was going on today. We're coming back, actually, we mentioned earlier, from the Moira Heritage Day events. And we thought we'd stop in here just outside of Burke, in the town of Burke, and see what kind of progress has been made at the Wilder farm. Time for our heavy artillery. The soldiers have lined up. And I think the Union soldiers are coming off the other side of that little grove of trees. Alright, one more blast from the howitzer.
Okay, ready? Fire!
We have moved over behind the Union lines. They're enjoying the shade for the moment. The Confederates have set up on the other side of that field. And very shortly here we should be seeing a battle of sorts. Alright, the Confederates have started with the rifle fire. Well, it shouldn't be long now.
Fire!
All right, the Union is answering. We got an officer carrying the stars and stripes. There we go. Union's going to fire again. Looks like the Confederates are advancing. First squad. All right. What a well-trained unit. Rebels are advancing. Get the women and children out of sight. The independent fire now. Kind of firing at will, as long as they can load. They were shooting in volleys earlier. Amazingly, nobody's been hit yet. The cannon is advancing. Well, the little one is, at least. Alright, the Union is going out to meet the enemy. Staggering, okay. Alright, now the second unit comes up and advances. And they'll fire while the other group is loading. The air is thick with gunpowder. You see them advance. As soon as they shoot, they reload. And after the other group shoots, this guy's heading for cover. Spreading out the attack here. Fire at will. Which one is will? Once again, we're at the Almanzo Wilder estate or farm in Burke. Civil War reenactment going on. Rebels are trying to protect their positions. Looks like the rebels might be retreating. Oops, there we go. soldier down. Oops. Down but not out. The combatants are getting ever closer. Got a rebel down. A couple of them down. This guy's wounded. And let's see if the Union is continuing to advance. The wounded are being helped off. Oh, man down over here. Like the medic is over out there for the rebels. There goes that. There goes that howitzer. A little loud for the spectators. A rebel cry. Now it looks like the Union is retreating as the Confederate Army is advancing. Well, again, we did not allow for this time. We didn't know we were going to be coming here for this reenactment, so we have got to hit the trail. If you want to know how this skirmish played out, pick up your local history book and find out who won the American Civil War. Pretty sure it's the guys in blue who won the war. Whether they won this battle or not, I can't tell you. Thanks for watching and for supporting Hometown Cable's ongoing efforts.